Okay, if we got everything going right, hey, you'll be wanting to progress more and more as you play guitar. This is Anybody Can Play Guitar. You know, I'm your host, James Jones Jr. And today, this episode, we're doing a show and production in the intimacy of the living room. So I guess you could say, take me to the land of the living. Okay, one more thing I want to say. Everybody's heard this before. Peace to all those who are in here. You know that already, don't you? So, our special guest is going to be Richard Ashe, veteran performer, songwriter. Once wrote a song for a real famous musician called Bobby Womack. This guy's nothing to sneeze at, and we got some footage here where he's going to really show you that it makes no difference how old you get, you can still jam on that guitar. So, you guys like guitar? Don't give up. Anybody can play guitar. All right, everybody in guitar land. Here we go. We got Richard Ashe, veteran guitarist and songwriter. Let's talk with him a bit. Okay, Richard, I got a few questions for you.
All right, fire away.
How long have you played guitar?
Well, I first started playing when I was about 16. My brother and I have been in several different bands, mostly cover bands, in the D.C., Maryland area, many, many years ago. So I've been playing for quite a while now, and decided to come out to Los Angeles to write songs. As most people know, it's a great place to learn and develop the craft, and to have the opportunity to try to get songs placed, cut, published, recorded.
Yeah. I see you got lucky. What they call that luck you were looking for. You got recorded with Bobby Womack. Tell me how you met him and how you wrote a song for him.
Well, I co-wrote the song with two other people, and one of the other co-writers actually was on a plane with, unbeknownst to him, he was on an airplane flying back to Los Angeles with a producer, and just out of coincidence, so they got kind of chummy with each other, and so our co-writer said, "Hey, so who are you producing now?" And the guy said, "Well, I'm producing Bobby Womack." And so he just, our co-writer just happened to have a copy of the song, and he said, "Would you mind listening to this and see if it'd be useful for Bobby's new album?" So I don't know how many times that happens, but it was a stroke of luck, for which we're all very grateful for.
Okay, have you ever jammed with some of those guys?
No, never had a chance. I've been mainly just honing the craft. Just enjoy the process of writing songs. Not necessarily to jam particularly with anybody in the backup band, although I had the opportunity to meet a couple of the guys in the band.
Mm-hmm. Tell me, what was the name of that song Bobby Womack sang you wrote?
The song is called Outside Myself, Inside Your Love. And it's sort of made the rounds. It was first recorded by Stevie Woods, who was more of a Johnny Mathis type of singer, kind of a crooner. And that was about I'd say maybe a year or two before Bobby cut it.
Mm-hmm.
And
who else did you play guitar with? Anybody else?
Just nobody in Los Angeles. Mostly, cover bands back east, but nobody, no group that anybody would know. They were basically, bar bands and,
mm-hmm.
cover bands.
What
weekend bands.
what instrument does your brother play?
He's a bass player. He
Oh,
plays upright bass, and he plays electric bass.
Yeah, who does he play with now?
You know. Well, right now he's the founder of a ukulele group.
No kidding.
You know, he lives in Canada, and he has he founded a group of ukulele players who go out and perform in the area. They're probably like 20, 25 uke players.
Whoa, boy.
So, you know, so basically it's, you know, one of his passionate hobbies, something he likes to do.
You know, that's a really kind of like a coincidence, because I started off, I played ukulele for a little while.
Yeah.
I started playing left-handed like Jimi Hendrix, using my right hand for to finger.
Yeah.
But I got them in my head, if you're right-handed, you're supposed to play like this.
Yeah.
So, do you play any other instruments?
Not until late. My brother, as I say, he likes to play ukulele. He went to Hawaii several years ago, and he encouraged me to take up the ukulele. And,
Never tried piano or anything like that, huh?
just, you know, dabbled on it a little bit.
So you can play the piano a little bit, huh?
Just a little bit, you know. Basically, I just play by ear, and you know, you know, looking back at it, I wish I could play a little more piano. But
Yeah.
I enjoy piano, and ukulele's one of the other instruments. I have a lot of original songs
No kidding.
that actually I used. They were initially created for guitar, but I took a lot of the songs that I wrote on the guitar and transitioned and just played them on ukulele. Particularly the kind of, you know, happy type sounding songs.
Yeah.
They seem to really work very well for that instrument. And not a real big learning curve for me from guitar to ukulele.
Right,
It's
it has frets.
basically the same, you know, pretty much the same tuning and 4 strings, and you know, I encourage anybody who wanted to pick up an instrument. Ukulele is the perfect, you know, the perfect instrument. It's not intimidating. It's a lot of fun to play, and obviously it's very easy to travel.
Yes, easy to travel with.
Right.
You should have brought your ukulele
You know,
today.
Well,
That would have been nice.
there's always next time. You know, I'd be happy to do that.
What type of music do you like to play? You ever heard of playing piano, guitar, some of that classic stuff? Are you into any of that?
No, not necessarily classical music. I consider myself more of a eclectic type of player. You know, I like, you know, R&B, you know, folk. I use the software that I use is just a GarageBand on an iPad, and some of the stuff that I like to do is actually electronica. So I like to, you know, look for samples and sounds, you know, that are kind of repetitious that I might be able to weave into
For commercial music?
an idea.
Yeah, an idea.
You know, I
So
like.
you mean like commercial music? You like real commercial stuff, like disco music or something?
No, not disco. Just electronica. Not, I wouldn't say it's in the disco vein, but it's you know, just more contemporary sounding
Oh, like
than disco.
synthesizers. Like.
Yeah, synthesized sounds that I can integrate with different sounds, and if I should be lucky enough to come up with a lyrical idea, then you know, I go for it. And you know, it's like they say, you know, it's 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration. And so you know, if I get a little seed, or just, you know, the door opening a little bit, you know, I try to, you know, create something, as I say, create something from nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And
Creating something from nothing, huh?
right.
How about the drum machine? You work with that any?
Well, not A drum machine, if you're talking about like, you know, decades ago, drum machine, not particularly that, but something on an iPad, on GarageBand, or music software. I like, you know, listening to different types of grooves, and, you know, occasionally subconsciously something might, you know.
Yeah. You know, one way to have it subconsciously answer from repetition is to leave it on all day.
Yeah.
Just have the same thing going. Just have your drum machine, leave it on till you dream up something.
Yeah.
I've done that once. It was a song I wrote called Rat Race. They played in Canada for like 2 years in a row. Man, you got any tips on, you want to give some of these people out in guitar land on playing guitar?
I just say, you know, if you're creative and you're in the writing mode, you know, just, you know, keep your antenna up, just keep your, you know, radar up. I try to show up for the muse, you know, when I can, and you know, if it's there, you know, something will show up. If you really want to, you know, find an idea, you can. Some of the ideas you might, you know, throw out, you might not like, but occasionally you might find something that you do like, and you sort of, you know, babysit it, nurture it.
Oh yeah.
Feed it, you know.
Have somebody listen to it that you trust.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
You know, play for your wife. You know, I mean, my wife is very good at you know, saying yay or nay to some of the ideas that I have. And she has no musical background at all, but
some of those are the kind of the best people to have
really are.
When you play guitar.
You know, don't take it to the most educated musicians, because you might not get the answer.
Right, you might not leave alive or something.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, the less they know about guitar, the better.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, have you ever heard of Hindu music?
Hindu music? No, I can't say I have.
You know, each note has a name.
No.
How about Chinese and Japanese music? You ever heard of that? Each note has a name, positive, negative, light and dark.
Not in that way.
No?
But, you know, maybe I should hit the library on that.
What scales have you ever been into the most, other than the major scale?
Well, you know, very early on when I was playing guitar, I did take some jazz lessons, and you know, went through a lot of different modes, you know, to help me with fingering and you know, knowing, you know, what kind of modes worked in what kind of piece, and to help me with improvisation.
Yeah. So, who was the guy you learned from? Is he still around today?
Well, I'm not sure. He lived in Florida. He was, we met when he was working at Charlie Bird's music studio back in Washington, D.C.
Oh yeah, what year was that?
Wow, ancient history. I couldn't even, you know, maybe, I want to say maybe late 60s. Maybe even earlier than that, but he was a very good player.
Yeah. Who did he remind you of? What guitar player did he remind you of?
You know, he kind of reminded me of Howard Roberts.
Howard Roberts. And Howard Roberts was kind of a hottie, huh?
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys, jazz guys. Matter of fact, in the back of the Guitar Player magazine, they have some of that old Howard Roberts stuff, and they got like Boogaloo Joe Jones. You know, people that they called it acid jazz or something back then. That was in the '60s when you were taking those lessons, right?
Yeah. He was a real jazzer, and he. I don't know whether he actually recorded any of his own music or albums, but I know that he played and backed up, you know, different artists, be it Sammy Davis Jr., a lot of those types of performers.
Okay.
Mostly, you know, big bands, swing bands.
Oh yeah.
And so I took lessons from him for a while.
What kind of guitar this guy play? Thick-bodied?
Like an L5, or you know, one of those, you know, Birdland, you know, one of those big hollow body guitarists. But he was a dedicated jazzer, you know, really great flat picker, up and down picking. And,
Did he ever tell you his background and who he learned from?
Well, if he did, I'm sure that I don't remember.
So if we were playing, you think you could ever, if we were playing, you ever get into a little improvisation the way he would do it? You think he's made a mark on you, where you could copy some of his style?
Maybe you might hear a little bit.
Yeah, do some of the things he did
in there, but I'm not really like a mode player.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of playing in different modes. Or playing, in a song that has a lot of 2/5 changes, or a lot of changes at all. That's not really my cup of tea. Not my cup of tea, but it's not my forte. It's not really my strength.
Yeah, you can learn jazz and play classic. There's a lot of little intricacies when you play guitar. You might learn how to do one thing, and then you're doing the other thing, and you remember what you did from what you learned to do what you're doing, So you learn how to use acoustic the regular way, but all of a sudden you're shooting behind your back all the time because you can do it from up front, So that's really interesting, the way people learn things on the guitar. The guitar's been around a long time. The 4-string instrument, even the 3-string instrument, the harp, the string instrument played with the fingertips. It makes a difference. You'll feel them, then you'll want to ask questions like me. Now I'm always into, where did you learn that? I'm sure like what you did when I saw you perform. I'll go up and ask a guy in a minute what he did. Hey, where did you get that? There's a lot of people I still have to question.
We're all, influenced by some other, somebody else or some other thing in the atmosphere. And there's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. My idea is just to try to, gather as much as I can, and hopefully, integrate it into something that, that sounds good to me.
Yeah. So, hey, man, we really been at it for a minute. It looks like we got a little time here to kind of like wrap it up. So you don't have any advice on positioning or improvisation or do this but don't do that stuff?
I'd say just keep your ears open.
And keep your antenna up, huh?
Listen to a lot of music. Don't give up. Not necessarily about the destination as it is about the journey. Have fun, along the way.
That's the way I look at it.
You get to the end, okay, then that's fine. Let's start something else, and just enjoy the process. Yeah,
you enjoy the process along with looking for lyrics and making up lyrics too.
That's right.
Yeah. There's a nuance behind the nuance, in other words.
That's right.
Yeah. I'm glad I met you, and I'm glad you're a guitar player, man. You really, we got footage of you. We're going to play it soon. All those out in guitar land, this is Richard Ash, songwriter, guitarist. Tell them goodbye.
Well, thanks for the opportunity to share my musical experience with you, and keep working, keep your ears open, as I said. There's a lot out there to listen to and to create, so thanks for having me.
Hey, you're welcome. Anybody can play guitar. That's Richard Ash.
is small. It's just too small for all of us. The closet's cramped. They are no larger than a stamp. And when I gotta take a pee, there's someone there ahead of me. I cross my legs and softly moan, and wished instead I lived alone. That's when the walls start closing in. I feel a loss of oxygen. I try to surface, gasp for air, but there's none there. This house is small. That is, unless you are a dwarf, then it's okay. You will have plenty place to play, but at a very normal size. I find it hard to compromise when all the people come and go, most of whom I may not know. And if a friend should telephone, good luck with being left alone with all the noise out in the hall. This house is small. When we moved in, it started out just her and me. Now it's so strange. Looks like we got the family tree. Can't seem to shake this phobia that causes this hysteria. But there's a certain part of me that needs a little privacy, to read a book, meditate, watch TV, sleeping late. But who's to fault? Who's to blame? This house is small. happened to your sunny disposition? Where's your devil-may-care attitude? Do you need to change your medication? Or is it just a case of the blues? Ooh, ooh. And what's happened to your funny sense of humor? The one that everybody likes about you. Lighten up or you will grow a tumor. It's just a case of the blues. Ooh. There are no exceptions to the rule. Everybody gets the blues.